And hello, and welcome to AleksTabletops Sandbox MTG Study pre-recorded session 4. My name is Alex, and let's continue our deck building session. Today we're going to build decks for Magic 2015 and Magic Duels. It's definitely going to be an interesting session, deck building session. Reason being, I guess, is because these games don't have pre-made decks. So all decks in these games we need to create by ourselves. So this is definitely going to be an interesting thing. So I already have 2 decks here. Actually 3 decks. And I guess we just need to build around these decks and just make them better. Because again, I think it's going to be more than enough for us. So let's just go with our first deck and make it better. Natural Growth. So yeah, I don't know about this deck. So this is just basically an elf deck. Not necessarily an elf deck. This is actually a deck that's based on a bunch of creatures. So since it's going to be a mono deck, mono green deck, because I love mono green decks, let's just make it better by sorting out all green cards. And we'll continue and see what we have that we could use. I already kind of worked a little bit on this deck, but still I guess I need to readdress it and rethink it a little bit slower. Not just like I would probably go in stream, just quickly make this deck as fast as possible, because again it's not that entertaining thing to make decks. Okay, so this one I definitely want to keep because 3/3. So yeah, force deck. This ability, you may search basic land card, put it into your hand to the battlefield tapped. This one allows me a pretty quick land searching because I have big creatures in there, and the faster these big creatures will come, the better. This thing makes sure that I will search for cards quicker. This is the only card that helps with blockers, for fly blockers. This is just a pretty good blocker by itself. Again, I added these in order to work with a Convoke and basically cast this spell for 0. This is pretty interesting, like game changer in terms of unpredictability, because usually it's kinda expected that you need to have 1 mana to play a particular spell, but with this card it's not necessarily the case, because we actually can play this card without paying its mana cost by just simply tapping a creature, which is an awesome thing. Of course, the damage preventers have to be there, fighters have to be there, cards that just basically puts Saprolings onto the battlefield, because again, this deck is based on creatures. The more creatures we have, the better, and this card in these 2, in her 2 copies, I guess, just basically makes sure that we can create Saprolings. This is again pretty good card in terms of enhancer, enhancer or buffer, power of toughness, number of creatures. So okay, this is the first card that works with the number of creatures that we have. This is the card, whatever creature control attacks, you may put a quest counter on it. And then yeah, this is again another buffer or enhancer that just basically gives all our creatures 5+5. And since I have a bunch of creatures, I could attack pretty fast enough. Or okay, this one we need in order to destroy artifact or enchantment. Of course, we need this. This one, whenever you cast a spell, if it's the second creature spell you cast this turn, you may return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. Yeah, this basically makes sure that we can get back this creature to our from a graveyard to our hand. And since I have decent amount of small creatures, it's pretty cool that I can do this. Okay, this is of course supposed to be here. 3 copies of this card. Gets other creatures +1. Enters the battlefield, you gain life equal to your devotion of green. Again, pretty good life gainer in the form of a creature. Okay, this fungus is with Devour 2 is specifically here for working with a bunch of creatures. So for instance, if I have a bunch of Saprolines there, it works ideal. And it just reproduces a bunch of other Saprolines, which is a good thing. Return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control, and the beginning of his or her next step keep. So this is just basically the guy that never dies unless you exile it. So pretty cool too. Nemesis of Mortals cost 1 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. Again, in case I have a bunch of cards in my graveyard, I can cast it like 4/2 and 5/5, and then make it monstrous for 2/2, which is an awesome thing too. So this is like pretty interesting game changer. Like, put a big creature for a low cost on the later stages of the game. It actually could save us. Again, this worm is the same. I just can basically tap 5 creatures and put it on the battlefield with 2 for 2 mana, which is an awesome thing. And this guy, of course, is the killer. When this enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain trample and get +X until the end of the turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. So yeah, this deck is pretty solid by itself. I don't think that I need to add something to it. Guess it's just a deck overview. Because again, I don't see any cards that I could add to it. Of course, we could like see, but again, I want to stay in 60 cards limit, and I have everything that I need in this deck, I think. Garuk. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw cards if you control the creature with the greatest power. Yeah, I guess it's pretty decent. Domain. With gates. Work with gates. Already have. Or not. I already have these cards in my hand, or not? Like, in my deck. Yes, 2 of them. So yeah, basically this is more than enough. The only card that I would probably place is this one, because again, it just doubles the tokens that I can put on the battlefield. But the problem is, I'm not necessarily reproducing that much tokens. The only card that kind of creates tokens is this one. So if I put this one somewhere in my deck, it's definitely not going to be this deck, because this deck, there's only 2 creatures that actually produce constantly tokens, and I have like only 3 copies of these cards in my deck, so it not necessarily makes this deck token based. So I'm not going to. So also I don't want to put any auras in there. These are too costly cards. Again, these cards on pretty good in token decks, which I definitely will create. And of course we can't put these cards because they have multiple colors. So yeah, I guess I'm done with this deck. It's pretty good, it's working fine. So let's continue with our, again, I guess the reason why it's called natural growth, because it actually kind of depicts the natural growth. So I'm not reproducing creatures, I'm just naturally putting them on the battlefield and they just grow and grow. And growth determines the fact that this deck can be enhanced. Okay, let's see what this deck is all about. Okay, White Madness, yes. So the whole thing about this deck is again, I guess it's based on lifelink. On tokens. But wait a minute. So you tell me I have only 17 creatures and 19 spells? Really? Yeah, this is definitely the deck that I created. I put in here a bunch of mythics at the end. So, enters the battlefield, choose a color. Creatures you control of the chosen color get +1/+1. Since this is a mono deck, it makes all creatures just +1/+1. Okay, this thing is just basically give all soldier creatures +1/+1 in vigilance. And I guess I have pretty decent amount of soldiers. Soldier, knight, soldier, monk, soldier, and instant. Yeah, I have them. And also they reproduce soldiers. Gets +1, gains first strike and lifelink. I guess I need some type of enhancers in here, and that way I can make every creature that I have lifelink, which is a good thing. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, put 1/1 counter on it. When it has 3 or more counters on it, sacrifice this one. When you sacrifice it, you gain 10 lives. Come on. Awesome. Why I only have one copy of it though? It's a pretty awesome card. I guess I needed balance. So destroy target creature with power 4 or greater, it can be regenerated. Again, it's in case we need to destroy creature, big creature. Again, this one is necessary because we need life gainers. So by making 4 of these creatures in our deck, we just basically gain like 16 lives, which is an awesome thing right away. Puts 1/1 white soldier creature token on the battlefield, again reproducing soldiers that could be potentially enhanced. Soldier with vigilance, that every time it attacks, it just basically puts 1/1 white creature or cat soldier token with vigilance onto the battlefield, attacking with it. Even when it blocks, it still puts a soldier with vigilance on the battlefield, blocking that creature. So this is actually a pretty awesome thing. This card is sick. Again, reproducing soldiers. So I guess this is a soldier deck. Yeah, I guess when I created it, I definitely kept in mind that this is a soldier deck. Other white creatures get +1/+1. Another target white creature you control gains vigilance until end of the turn. Actually, it's a pretty sick deck. Like, yeah, I created it pretty long time ago, but still works. Pretty cool deck, pretty strong. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each planes you control and has flying. Again, just a flyer creator, because I don't see that I have too much flyers. Actually, I don't have flyers at all. So These cards make sure that I have flyers. At the beginning of each end step, if you gained 4 or more life this turn, put a 4/4 white angel creature token with flight on the battlefield. If you gain 4 life or more. Yeah, this is actually possible because again I have a bunch of cards that I gain life with, and this is pretty cool. So I pretty easily can gain more than 4 lives in one turn. So that way I will just basically reproduce angels with flight. Pretty awesome. Again, creatures you control get +1, +2, and +1 until end of the turn. This is just in order to have the ability of making all my creatures bigger. Restore target attacking or blocking creature. Again, this is the only way. There's 4 of them. This is the only way how I can make sure that I can defend myself or protect myself while attacking. Flying first strike, lifelink protection from demons and dragons. Again, I guess having this card here is just basically make sure that I have something to work with in terms of a counter. This one is like, come on, this is awesome card. Vigilance, lifelink. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 40 or more life, you win the game. And considering the fact that all my cards work with life gaining, almost everything, by having this card in my possession, I'm basically guaranteed to win, which is a pretty awesome game changer. And again, we talked about this before. So yeah, it's a pretty solid deck. I don't think that I need to add something to it. Kind of like how it works. Yeah, actually this is an awesome deck. Of course, I could put in this deck more creatures that could potentially, for instance, gain life and actually attack. But actually I could. Maybe I need to get rid of 2 of these and instead put 2 of these. Can't attack or block alone. Exalted. We'll just find something cheap with lifelink. Because again, there's too many spells here. We need to at least make them equal. Mare. Birds, cat soldier, what she's doing, what it's doing. Enter the battlefield, you may tap target creature. Well, this is soldier, which is a good thing. Kind of slows down the opponent, but I don't think so. I don't think that we need it though. Again, I already have these. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. No thanks. Power and toughness are each equal number of creatures you control. Again, I don't have that much creatures, which is a problem. Ideally, putting this card in here would be a cool thing, but again, I have more spells than creatures, which I guess is the only problem of this deck, actually. Just make it more realistic. So we get rid of 2 of these and 2 of these. I don't want to have like multiple copies of these type of cards. Usually I have enough destroyers to cover this up. And now let's add something creature based, because again I feel like this card definitely doesn't have enough creatures. Our spells you cast 1 less. Heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that target hero of irons, put 1/1 counter on it. I don't have that much hours, only 1. Couple of them actually. So there's no point of putting this guy there. But still, I would definitely put soldier. That potentially could give us lifelink or at least do something. Actually, putting this one is a pretty good idea because again, it kind of tap target creature kind of slows it down. I'm not necessarily specialized my deck on it, but it's a pretty cool thing to have. I need to think. Cleric, yeah, definitely putting Odric in here is a good idea. Again, this is a soldier, definitely could become big. Yeah, need more creatures. What else we could find here? If you would gain life, you gain twice that much life instead. Oh yeah, why this guy is not in my deck? Come on, if you would gain life, you, oh, of course. How I could miss it? Like, how could I miss it? Creature token the battlefield. That's copy of that. Spirit, no thanks. Okay, scout, no. How many of these I have though? 2. Creature tokens you control gets +2. We already have one. Again, scout, aura, angel with flight, guy with convoke that helps me gain lives. Another of these cards. Actually, having 2 of them would be pretty cool, because yeah, I guess pretty cool. Wait a minute. Enter the battlefield if your life total is less than your starting life total, it becomes equal to your starting life total. Wait a minute. When enters the battlefield, if your life total is less than your starting life total, so for instance, if I'm dying, like my starting life usually is 20, but in playing, oh no, this magic 15, so there's no plane chase here. Yeah, so basically it means that it becomes equal to your starting life total. This is actually a pretty good thing. So in case someone is going to slowly kill me, this thing becomes 2020. This is awesome card. Oh, it has so much potential in it. Maybe we need to get rid of this one because this one is kind of doesn't work, and instead make this one. They're considerably different in cost, but still this is actually plays more for this deck than this one. Yeah, this one potentially has a lifelink, protection, flight. With this card I could gain more lives, but the problem is just in the end just could not comes down to it, and I need something for protection, and this card is actually pretty good for protection. But the problem with this card, I guess, for instance, it's still going to be 4 and 4 if my life more than my beginning life. Interesting how this card though works. So when it enters the battlefield, if your life is total less than your starting life, it becomes equal to your starting life total. So okay, for instance, I have like 19 lives, which is less than my starting lives, which is 20. Now I put this card on the battlefield and it becomes 20 on 20 because I have less than 20. Now, what's going to happen if I actually gain lives? It reverses back to 4 and 4, or it stays, because the text read that it works only when it enters the battlefield. So like, if this ability just basically frozen, or it changes depending on what type of health you have. This is actually interesting. So yeah, I guess I will leave this one and get rid of this angel, because this angel not necessarily works with our lifelink thing. with gaining lives. Works, of course, but okay. So yeah, I get rid of unnecessary cards and added pretty interesting cards. So yeah, pretty cool. Now this deck is actually, I think, a little bit better. Let's see the rating of... we actually can't see the rating for this deck. So yeah, and the last deck that we're going to check is Power of Death. I don't recall if I actually created it by myself or it was created by automatically. I guess I created it by myself. But still. Okay, let's just sort by these cards. Pretty cool art. Okay, Bloodgast can't block. I remember this one, yes. So has haste as long as an opponent has 10 or less life, and land 4 when that land enters the battlefield under your control. You may return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. Yeah, definitely. This one is awesome. Enters the battlefield, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Interesting. Enters the battlefield, you may return creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Still, why I have 4 of these in here? Top 3 cards in your library in your graveyard to your hand. I guess the whole thing about this deck is working with the graveyard. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-demon creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are fewer than 6 creature cards in your graveyard, sacrifice a creature. Oh, that's why. So the more cards on the graveyard I have, the better. Okay, how about this one? An additional cost of this sacrifice a creature. Choose target creature card in your graveyard, return the card and the sacrificed card to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of your next upkeep, and exile this card. I have 2 of those. Wait a minute. So you tell me this deck... yeah, I got kinda bummed out. I'm seeing like, come on, so you tell me that I only have like 2 cards that cost 2 mana? Yeah, I forgot that. It's pretty strange here. So yeah, we have green cards there too. So targets, destroy target creature, it can be regenerated. No, of course we need that. Enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, shuffle your library. Pretty cool. Oh, okay, pay 7 life, draw 7 cards, and life link and flight, come on. Fighter. Enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a land card among them, onto your hands, put the rest into your graveyard. Again, something that helps us put cards in your graveyard. Okay, I already have this one in my previous deck. Whatever you cast a spell, if there is a second creature spell you cast this turn, you may return it from your graveyard. Again, the ability to return things from a graveyard, because this is actually deck about this. Spider, so put 1 on 2 green spider creature token with the reach onto the battlefield for each creature card in your graveyard. Oh, come on, this is crazy. And I can make it flashback. So basically, it's just a spell with a flashback may be cast from its owner's graveyard by paying its flashback cost instead of its mana cost. And then, of course, exile it. So I can use this card twice, since there's 2 of these 4 times, in case I don't have enough creatures. Okay, this one with reach, put 3 on 3 green beast token onto the battlefield, exile Soul of Zendikar from your graveyard, put a 3 on 3 green beast creature tokens onto the battlefield. Okay, pretty cool. So it's richer, it's 6 and 6. Actually, it works pretty cool. So if it's even if it dies, I always can exile it for the same amount as here. Pretty cool. Return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. The beginning, yeah, this guy. Again, this guy because 3 of them. Why? I guess this is too much. And 3 of this. Enters the battlefield, you gain 7 lives. Now I don't know. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Exile this treasure. Treasure to find. Okay, so something about this deck kind of bothers me. I guess when I created it before, I kept in my mind that most of these cards are going to be on the graveyard, and since I have the ability to return cards from a graveyard just right away on the battlefield without paying its mana costs, or at least just doing this, it kind of creates the opportunity to just play these cards without any problems. But the problem about this deck, it's too overpacked with big creatures. So you see, we have 0 speed, we have pretty decent strength, synergy, and almost no control. And the reason, I guess, it's because of this. We have too much of a big creatures or spells. It's like I need to do something with it in order to make it right. By the way, let's see quickly ratings for these decks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, this deck is awesome. In terms of like rating, how about this one? Should be 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2. Yes. Again, as you remember, I said it before. So, like deck that's without 7 stars is usually the highest rank that you can get from Magic. I didn't saw a 6 empty stars yet. In terms of a rating, of course. Usually from 10 to 7, these decks are pretty playable. When you go higher, like for instance here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, actually, there's 10 too. But I guess maybe you can't go with 11. I don't know. So okay, let's think. I definitely need to get rid of a couple of big creatures because I think there's too much of them. At least I guess there's no reason to have these creatures like with 3 copies. 2 is more than enough. So let's do that. So this one is pretty cheap. Again, in order to search lands, and actually I can search whatever land I want. Land card, not specified by color. Also about this one, like, can be regenerated. Okay, 3 destroyers or just 2 of them. I don't have that much of them. So let's just okay, and let's just find 2 cards that could make this deck a little bit more balanced or better. And of course these cards has to be cheap enough and yet work. Enter the battlefield tapped. When you cast a spell, target the target. Oh yeah, I don't have that much enhancers here, so there's no point of using it. So how about this one? When a creature dies, you may put a quest counter on this thing. Remove 3 quest counters from a sacrifice set. Put 5 on 5 zombie giant creature token on the battlefield. Pretty cool, because I guess I will lose creatures pretty like all the way through the game, either by sacrificing them or just blocking them, and then I could just basically return them from my graveyard, I guess. But the problem about this card, like, it's only works once, so it's like I need both of these cards in my hand or in my deck. Okay, Regenerator. Oh, this is pretty interesting. Exile X target cards from target player's graveyard, so I can choose my opponent too, and myself. For each card exiled this way, that player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Why? So, I can't use it by putting a bunch of cards on my graveyard and then destroy him by exiling my cards. It works only with 1 target player. So yeah, this would be a pretty good fuse or mesh. This card could be a pretty good mesh with Jace cards that put cards in a graveyard. That way it could be pretty cool. But each card exiled this way, that player, so you can choose like yourself first and then only one. So yeah, it's not working. Okay, Death Touch. These cards are pretty awesome. As long as the opponent has 10 or less life, this one gets bigger and Intimidate. Give another Sauron. Whenever or another vampire control dies, you may pay 1. If you do, target player loses 2 lives and you gain 2 lives. No thanks. What is this? Enter the battlefield, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from it. Exile that card until bronze leaves the battlefield. Huh. Oh, these enchanted creatures where I still like didn't get how they work properly. They were in Theros or Theros. Nope. For each artifact in your graveyard. No, these now. Aww, we need this guy. Okay, so yeah, Regenerators. Zombies. Only zombies? Creatures you control. Yeah, zombies. Creature. You can life equal to that creature. Pretty cool. Maybe we need to add one of these in our deck. Target opponent, sacrifice a creature. You gain life equal to that creature's toughness. How sacrificial thing works here, so he chooses what creature to sacrifice, or we are choosing what creatures to sacrifice. Usually when you call this, player chooses what creature to sacrifice. So yeah, when it comes to sacrifice, it's always the choice of the opponent, so he definitely will choose the lowest creature to gain lives from its toughness. But we could go in pretty interesting situation when like our opponents, and we have 3 of them in 4-player matches, could have pretty decent amount of creatures, big creatures. That way we actually could gain decent amount of lives, which is a good thing for this deck, because it doesn't have any life gainers. But I will think about that. Discarding cards, or sacrifice creature goes bigger. You may put target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. If you do, it deals damage equal to that card power to target. Oh, yeah, this is definitely one. So you may put a target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. Since I'm constantly putting all my cards in my graveyard, this card actually helps me to bring back on top of my library a particular card. Then, if I'm doing this, this thing deals damage equal to that card's power. To target creature. Card's power, creature card. So yeah, and since I have pretty decent amount of big powered creatures, like for instance these demons, 7/7, this one, this 7/7, 5/5, 7/2, and so yeah, I have like pretty big power creatures. I'd actually discarded works awesome for the deck, so I will definitely add 2 of these. Now I have of course less creatures and more spells, but still, since these spells works with the creatures, why not? Yeah, let's just go down. Other black creatures you control get +1/+1. Another target black creature you control gains the touch until the zone. This card is actually pretty cool. But I have not only black creatures, so intimidates, Thunder, interesting Elemental, 3 lives. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. Not necessarily gaining that much life. So that the creature can be regenerated. We have these equal to number of swamps you control. Again, not mono swamp deck. Congrats to the battlefield at the beginning of feature. Oh, it's pretty cool. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player sacrifice a creature. Yes, we need that. We definitely need that. So now we actually need to get rid of a couple of cards in order to work with it. Let's think what we need to get rid of. Still, I don't think about these cards like that I need too much of them. Like for instance, come on, 2 of these. If I have something that could work better, like for instance this one, why not? But at the same time, it's kind of strange. So that creature can regenerate. Yeah, let's just get rid of one of these. We already kind of added a potential creature destroyer, so it's pretty cool. And I can bring back all my cards from my graveyard, which is an awesome thing, of course. Nope, not vampire deck. What about this demon? Shuffle your library. Nope. Convoke for damage target creature or player if you gain, and you gain 4 lives. 6 creatures to tap. Yeah, and we already gone through green cards. I don't think that I see some green cards that could work for this deck particularly. Yeah, don't think so. We already put everything that we need in this deck that could work with it. The only thing, let's just see, maybe we'll find something multicolor. So we work with green and white. No, and black. Black green, black green. I don't think that's something we'll do here. Nope. There's no Golgari colors here, unfortunately. Kind of a shame. 3 colors, 4 or 5. Unfortunate. So whatever. Okay, now this deck kind of seems a little bit more. It still has the same thing, doesn't change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh no, it actually adds control. So before control was 2 and now control is actually 3. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, we actually added a little bit control by putting these cards, which is a good thing. It's still considered pretty. I don't think this is a standard deck because, yeah, talking about non-standard decks, I talked about non-standard decks at Magic Duels, and this is straight out non-standard deck because it kind of all over the place, and it's pretty interesting to play this deck though. So let me just go. Forgot to see. So yeah, 23 creatures, 13 spells, 24 lands. Yeah, wanted to see this one. So yeah, we kind of reduced the number of big creatures to 9. It's equal to, not creatures but spells. Yeah, so kind of creates a little bit more dynamic in playing. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty cool. So of course it's going to be interesting to test these decks and make them work. Usually I play with natural growth, but now it's kind of interesting playing these two. So yeah, again, for each Magic game, I will have 3 main decks, and then with time I will create more. So yeah, let's just go into the Magic Duels. Let's just go into the Magic Duels and try to make our existing decks better and do something about them. Magic Duels. So again, my main deck in Magic Duels, of course, it's Ally deck, and I'm kind of working on different decks that I have too. But since Magic Duels is more playable game in terms of the time that I put into it throughout the week, it would be cooler if I had more than 3 decks to play, so that's why I kind of want to add this additional session. Oh, also, I actually need to create a deck that could help us to make this achievement possible, because I don't have any decks that work with -1/-1 counters on creatures. So let's just build this type of deck right away. It's going to be pretty interesting. So we go into battle mode, we go into my decks. So again, my main deck is of course Ally deck. This Ally deck is going to be for now 2 color deck, and in time I will definitely make, when I will gather all allies by buying Gateway boosters, I will make 5 color Ally deck. I guess 5 colors maximum for Magic, yes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, 4? Oh, it's white 1. Yeah. If you replace this one with white color, it's actually 5 color. But here you can actually create more colors, because you can add here even this Eldrazi thing. It's pretty cool. So first, I guess, let's go through the decks and see if we actually have something similar to this. So let's just go through our floating gate and see what it does. I guess this is a Eldrazi drone deck. I don't think that it has something with counters on it. I actually have pretty decent amount of Eldrazi decks. Like this one, for instance. This one, not Eldrazi in particular. No, this is not Eldrazi deck. Oh, come on. Gotta be kidding me. I forgot to turn on the thing. Sorry about that. So yeah, I talked about like my Ally deck. Yeah, we get into our floating gate, which is based on Eldrazi's. So there's a bunch of Eldrazi's here. It's crazy weak decks, so yeah, I guess you can go lower in stars. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, almost 14. Come on. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So alternate this is the deck based on the Awaken abilities. So it basically, I called it alternate because it kind of works with alternative cost. So you're not playing the regular cost of the card, but alternative cost. It kind of works about like with these type of abilities. Also with Surge, Awaken, Surge. So basically this deck is with Awaken, with Surge, with a little bit of Madness there. It's pretty hard deck to play with, but it's pretty interesting. When I open all cards with these abilities, it's going to be interesting to create something interesting from it. So yeah, this deck definitely doesn't have anything with counters, -1/-1 counters, as this one too. This one is just strictly Eldrazi deck with, and in this deck I basically decided to put all Eldrazi that I have. And as you see, this deck is pretty big. It's 90 cards, because again, the more colors you add to your deck, the harder to play it. And usually what balances things out is making this deck bigger. The same I will do for Ally deck. So my 5-color Ally deck definitely will be a big deck. Maybe not 90 cards, but pretty big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, how about now the Devour deck? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's pretty weak. So the Devour deck kind of works with multiple things. Puts counters, couple of landfalls. It's still a pretty strange deck. It's Vampire deck, that's why. So yeah, this is a strictly Vampire deck. So again, in order to work with this deck more, I need to collect all vampires from all sets. So yeah, how about this deck? Oh, wait a minute, how this deck is called? Reproduction. So yeah, this deck is based on tokens, basically top tiers, elves, a little bit on investigations. Yeah, remember this deck? I specifically created this deck for some particular quests, daily quests that Magic required at that time, to put like 15 or 13 tokens into the battlefield, and I just basically created these token decks that worked with them. So yeah, the whole idea of this deck is tokens. So pretty cool idea still, but still we need to work on it more, because come on, it's too weak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, weak. And of course we have our Thunder deck, which is basically our control deck, when we make our opponents uncomfortable by constantly returning target creatures into its owner's hand. Yeah, this is this type of control, annoying control. So that means that we don't have decks with -1/-1 counters, so let's just create ones. So of course I'm going to work with the deck builder. I guess for this session we are going to create only one deck, because we're building this deck from ground up. Oh no, quit without saving. Yeah, we need to create a new deck, and oh, actually, yeah, I choose right. So deck wizard is just basically with assistance, and this one works with for the experienced players. But before that, let's just see if we actually have enough cards that work with. Also, we can see how many type of decks we have. We have Exert, Pressure, based on Exert, based on Cycling, and based on Revolt abilities, which I not necessarily know how to use here. Revolt mechanic. This one based on vehicles, this one based on wondrous artifacts, this one based on energy counters, this one based on emerge, Eldrazi's. This is a vampiric rage. Spill the enemy blood, so put 4 or more types of cards into your graveyard for power, delirium. Combine multiple spells per turn to overwhelm your enemy. Eldrazi again, allies. Army of allies. Manipulate your opponent's resources and give the tools to the game with the power and the build abilities. Processors. So I guess we don't have any decks that work with -1 counters specifically. Because these are the new abilities, and I guess they didn't add these type of decks. Recycle cards using the power of your graveyard. Army of elves. Stealing. Big creatures. Maybe. Yeah, I guess we don't have these type of decks. Maybe Revolt. Not vehicles. Maybe Exert. Yeah, I guess Exert. It works around it because I remember some type of Exert card that's just basically when you attack they lose -1 counter. So I guess it's an Exert thing. Let's just try this because I kind of want for these cards to automatically be found to see how many of these type of cards we actually have. Not much, so we only have 3 of those. Okay, let's just put them. I'm not going to save this deck. I just need to see if I have cards which works with these type of things. Support. No, I don't think so. Big creatures. Yeah, automatically nothing there, unfortunately. So it means that I need to go and find these type of creatures on my own. And I guess I don't have these. And if I don't, so it's going to be problematic to like work with this achievement. So let's just go with mechanics, with counters. +1 counters to build creatures and can make them unstoppable, like gain tokens, artifacts, evasion. Tokens, artifact assembly. Okay, let's just see this one, how many these type of cards I have. Yeah, unfortunately I can't like search specific cards. I could work of course with the last sets, so only 11, only 26 in Kaladesh, 38 in Revolt. I don't remember when these abilities were added though. So let's just see through last sets new cards and see if we were going to find something. So okay, destroy target artifact or enchantment. So put servos, +1 against flights. So what the revolt ability again? So revolt Enters the battlefield. If permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, destroy target tapped creature. And pretty cool. Gains vigilance, gains first strike. Vehicles you control have flight. Energy counters, no. Oh yeah, so we have something with -1 counters. So whenever you cycle or discard a card, you may pay 1. If you do, put 1/1 counter on target creature. Okay, let's add 3 of these. Again, we need to create a deck with -1 counters. Sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on this guy. If it gains undestructible until end of the turn. Pretty cool one, let's just add them. Fabricate. When this creature enters the battlefield, put 2 1/1 counters on it or creature. Serve artifact token to the battlefield. I guess I could work with it. With counters. Just +1, this one puts servos. I could create actually a deck based on servos and based on -1 counters. Let's do that, why not? I kind of want to create deck from with new mechanics because I never did it, so kind of interesting. Enters the battlefield and you control. Okay, nope. Because again, I need to learn these abilities because Magic Arena is definitely going to work with these abilities. It's going to have Cats or and Kaladesh, as they said. So I kind of want to learn these new cards and new sets, how they work. May exert it. No, we don't need exerted. Tap to discard a card, draw a card. Vehicles. Nope. Exert. Cycling. Energy counters. I kinda have decent amount of cards with energy counters though. Enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counter on it if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn. Pretty cool. It's pretty not cheap though. 4 of them is too much, but still. Becomes tapped, target creature can attack back. No. Okay, enter the battlefield. Permanents you controlled left the battlefield this turn. Return target permanent card with convert mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Pretty interesting. Okay, this is just an enhancer. Energy counters. Searcher. Vehicle. That's it. So as you see, I don't have that much cards that work with -1 counter on it, so I guess only 1. Which kind of creates a problem because it's pretty hard to create deck based on only 3 these type of cards. So whenever you cycle or discard a card, you may pay 1. If you do, put 1. So I guess let's just put as much cycle or discard cards in this deck. Or enchantment with convert cost or less. +1 and gets whatever. Revolt, nope. Cycling. So hello. Definitely add this one. I can cycle it for 1 land and this one cycle too. Discard a card, draw a card. When you cycle creature, create a creature. So let's put these 2. For now, I will get rid of them of course later. Because this is too much of course, but still. They are not cheap at all. But the whole thing about cycling in here and discarding cards. Oh, actually, whenever it becomes tapped, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. Pretty cool. second creature get +1, and yeah, we could cycle it, so let's add this one. Pretty cheap cycling. And since I have already 4 colors, yeah. This works with energy counters. 2 less. No, I guess the rest are not going to work. So yeah, let's just go and disable these things and go with... So I guess these decks are definitely could work with -1/-1 counters. I don't think that Zendikar and Gatewatch works with it, but Innistrad and Eldritch Moon, they're pretty dark and in terms of their things, so they actually could have these -1/-1 counters thing. They definitely have +1/+1 counters on it, so it means that they could work with this. Enters the battlefield for permanent you control, let the battlefield this turn, create one. So let's just get rid of several cards though. I don't know. Put one counter. Fabricate puts 1/1 counter on it. Discard a card. Cycling. Yeah, this deck is definitely going to be a hot mess. In terms of, yeah, it's just a mix of basic strange cards. Enter the battlefield, target creature gets +1. No, we need with counters. So let's just put this one because that way we could exile cards and get back them into the battlefield with additional counters on them. It's not something that works for me, I guess. No, this is actually doesn't work for this deck. The only... maybe I need to put all cards with investigate here, I don't know. Destroy target attack and blocking creature. Fear less investigate. Yeah, let's just put a bunch of investigate things here. Kinda like how... because again, unfortunately I can't make this deck stronger, and because it doesn't have necessarily something clear in it, but by making these investigate things, that way it could actually work. Now you cast a creature spell with converted mana cost 3 or less. Investigate, why not? Delirium, don't want to. Creature types, I don't want shapeshifters or shifters. Nope, nope, nope. So yeah, I'm kind of from far trying to find something that would work. Escalate. What is this? Pay this cost for each mode chosen beyond first. Oh, yeah, let's add some type of a balancer, destroyer, or whatever. How about Avacyn though? Enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of the turn. You control dice, transform Avacyn, and next keep 3 damage to each other creature and each other opponent. I don't know, I still didn't find any deck that I could put into Avacyn because something about her throws me off because she's too destroying. She destroys everything on her path. Except that creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If it's a spirit, put 1/1 counter on it. Don't have that much spirits. Hexproof. Defender. So definitely not going to be a blue card. Yeah, blue cards rarely work with the -1/-1 counters, so I guess we will just skip them. They usually just like make things smaller in one turn and not constantly. So yeah, black card says it's actually something that could work with it, so -1 until end of the turn. +1 creatures on all vampires. Black zombies, returner just makes smaller zombies. Madness, destroy target tapped creature. This card is pretty awesome though. And madness, of course, with madness we definitely want to put something with madness, because madness works with the discarding. If you discard this card, yeah. I guess I didn't saw that much of a madness cards there, so let's just go back and see how many cards with madness there. So we have this one with madness, but I don't think that I need it because I don't want to add like blue color in this. There's too much of colors already. And let's just see if madness has in white. I don't think so. No, I don't see madness. So yeah, good. So we'll continue with this one. So now we're searching for madness. Skull can detach. We need small creatures though that could attack, so let's dead them for now. Exile this card into this button. Strange. Oh yeah, this is definitely helps discard cards. Everything is going to revolves around this card, because whenever you uncycle or discard a card, you may pay 1. If you do, put -1 on target creature. So these cards are going to be something that just basically going to destroy everyone. Sacrifice an artifact, put plan. Okay, I'm not going to have any artifacts, so goodbye. These we need in order to have at least some blockers or attackers. Maybe I need to get rid of. So yeah, I don't see white color in this deck at all, so it doesn't work. So let's just go with these for now. So returning and discarding. This is an awesome thing. Destroying with madness, awesome. Fabricate, that just basically puts additional counters on it. I don't know. There's the battlefield, puts 2+1 counters on it, or creature to servos. No, doesn't work. Kinda out of place. Become stopped, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card, of course. Attacking creatures get +1. Okay, before cycling. Revolt. 2 counters on target permanent you controlled. Left the battlefield this turn. I need to think about this. No, actually we'll get rid of this. So this is the only green card that I have, so goodbye. This deck is going to be 2 colors, and it's just going to be red and black. I think I will manage to do something with red and black. Okay, let's just make this. So red, black, X, and this one will apply. Let's continue our research through the decks. So again, put the top card of your library into your graveyard, discard a card. So I can choose, pay 1 life. the top card. Oh no, it's kind of works one way. So I'm putting top card of my library into my graveyard. I'm discarding a card. I'm sacrificing this thing, and I'm destroying target creature. Yeah, we definitely need this one. I remember this card is pretty cool, and for this deck is all works awesome. We don't have that much zombies. It would be a pretty good thing to have this creature in here, because again, since we don't have that much creatures in here that could work constantly by constantly working with this, it's pretty cool. Target vampire gains haste until the turn, can block. I don't necessarily have a vampires there. So I have zombie rats, human plant, pilot, human plant, horror. Human plant. Come on, man. There's no such thing as human plant. Discard a card, put one on blah blah blah. Activate this ability only once each turn, yes. I don't need two of these, one is enough. Okay. So now the more cards with madness I have, the better, of course, but unfortunately that don't have that much of those. Enters the battlefield, put 1+1 counter on it for each zombie card in your graveyard. Whenever you cast a zombie spell, sorry I don't have zombie deck. Okay, this guy just makes things smaller for each creature card in your graveyard. Nah, I don't know. No. Actually, okay. This one is a creature card. Not this. Pretty bunch of them though. If I actually cycle them, this card could work. So yeah, let's add this. And since I'm going to constantly discard cards, maybe Delirium is going to work here. Who knows? 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, because one, I will constantly put a bunch of cards in my graveyard. So for instance, I have creatures, I have enchantments, I have sorceries, I have instants. It's already 4. Creature, enchantment, sorcery, and instant. 4 or more card types. So I actually could add Delirium cards in here too. Definitely makes things a little bit more interesting. So yeah, let's just put a couple of these. For now, let's put all of these because it's going to be pretty hard to create this deck properly. Did I add these already? No. Again, the more creatures we have, the better. Gets +1 and has menace as long as there's a 4 cards type. Yes, of course I will put this one. Enter the battlefield or dice, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Nope. Sacrifice a creature or land, draw 2 cards. Nope. Target opponent loses 3 lives and you gain 3 lives. And madness, yes, madness definitely we need. Discard 2 cards, return this guy from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Pretty interesting. Another dice, put 1 on counter on this guy. Nope. Nope. Again, Delirium. 2. Gets +1/+1 until end of the turn. Activate this ability. Pretty strange card. 4 cards, so one of those is enough. Just couple of those. Oh yeah, remember this one with madness? Definitely we need it. 1 is enough. Discard 2 cards, return this from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. It's pretty cool too. Let's put 2 of these. I will definitely get rid of them though. They're too strange. If you discard this card, when you do cast it for its madness. Oh yeah, definitely. Then turn up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Each of those creatures is black zombie. In addition to its another put on the bottom of the library. Yes. Since we're constantly discarding cards, we need something that could bring us cards back. So the target creature, its controller loses 2 lives, you gain 2 lives. Okay, damage dealers I'm not going to use. Discard a card, sacrifice, then draw a card. Yes. Nope. Again, I'm putting everything that works when discarding cards because I need to trigger this guy. And also it's going to be interesting to work with Delirium. Yes. Madness. Yes. Discard a card, gets +1. Oh, +2, -1. Pretty cool too. So basically, and the cool thing about this deck, I can make it bigger. So this deck not necessarily have to be small, like 60 cards, because since I'm going to constantly discard cards and draw cards, I'm not going to have that much. So this is too much. So at the beginning of your creature, keep if you cast a turn transformer. Again, transformer cards I will use later and make deck around them. Nope. Okay, again, Madness. Attacking creatures you control have first strike. When a vampire you control deals combat damage to a player, put 1/1 counter on it. I don't have that much vampires though. Let's see how many I have. This one. I have this one. I can create this vampires here. Zombie, human spirit, zombie, human plant, pilot, nightmare horse, zombie, vampire. I actually have a couple of vampires there, so we could add this one. Yeah, again, the only reason for creating this deck is solely for the sake of Madness. For the sake of gaining this achievements by putting at least one -1/-1 counter on creature at the beginning of combat on your turn. Target creature you control gains double strike until the turn. Wait a minute, at the beginning of combat on your turn. This is awesome card. Target creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. Cool. Pretty interesting card. Let's add one of those. Enters the battlefield. Yeah, don't need. So again, another Madness. So we're close to the end, which is a good thing. Whenever a source and opponent controls better and no. For each instant and sorcery in your graveyard. Prowess. I don't think that I have. Actually, I have pretty decent amount of sorceries and instants there, so I could like play it for nothing. Discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. That's actually pretty interesting. Interesting how it's going to play. And yeah, we don't have that much multicolored creatures. Awesome frog. Yeah, I don't think that I need to do anything but my artifacts there. Skulk. Whenever creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card if you do discard a card. Oh yeah, that's definitely something that we need. 1 is enough. Oh, let's just put 2 for now. what? Put charge counter on this jar. Then you may cast an instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on this jar. From your hand without paying its mana cost. It's pretty cool. Remove X charge counters from a jar bar, scry X. Actually, it could work. Like, this card is actually pretty sick. Yeah, since I'm going to constantly discard cards, it could create pretty interesting synergy though. No thanks. No. Investigate, sacrifice 3 clues, search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, shuffle your library. This is definitely something that we need in this type of decks that we just basically can't control for the most part, because this is pretty hard controllable deck, and by making this one I actually can reproduce. Yeah, this just basically will create 3 clues, and then just I'm sacrificing these 3 clues and searching my library for a card, and of course I will search for this one, where it is, for this one, because this is the whole thing about making this achievement. Emerge. My base. Sacrificing a creature and pay an emerge cost to you. Wow. So, what do you tell me? You may cast the spell by sacrificing a creature and paying the emerge cost reduced by that creature's converted mana cost. This is interesting. But no thanks. Oh yeah, so emerges is actually a new thing for the Eldrazi. Yeah, I'm not going to use these, so they are too costly for me to play. Oh, hello there. Target creature gains haste in the land of your turn if you both own and control. If you both, what does it mean? Exile them, then meld them into this card. Do I have this card? Like, Hanweir Garrison? I don't think so. I'm going to search it though. From your ground to the battlefield, chat. Unkillable land, yeah. So yeah, I guess that's it with this type of deck, so let's just add lands finally. Okay, so yeah, we need to get rid of these. They are preventing things from happening. So, first let's just put 12 Ds and 12 Ds right away. Which kind of already creates 24 cards. So now let's just slowly get rid of a bunch of unnecessary cards. Enter the battlefield as you control 2 or more basic lands. So yes, all of these. All of these. Okay, so this is definitely going to be a non-standard deck. Yeah, let's think. So now we need to get rid of a bunch of cards in here. So first that we need to do is of course to see what balance we have. Actually, it's pretty interesting balance. We have too much of a big cards, but still it's pretty interesting balance. First, let's just go, no, continue building. Let's just save this card as a deck. Oh, come on. You're not seeing this, but I have crazy amount of glitches in here. Oh, snap. I'm not even seeing what I'm choosing. So let's choose this one. Continue. For this one we need to choose, so we have red, black, so something dark, something swampy. This one looks fine. And of course this one, yes. So now let's just call a deck. How we're going to call our deck? Oh, I know. Stranger Things, because this is definitely a Stranger Things deck. Like, come on, this deck is strange. Hope I'm named it right. This is pretty cool. Stranger Things deck. Wait a sec. Okay, as we see, this deck is pretty small, but it has like crazy amount of control. I guess maybe because I'm constantly discarding cards. So now, since this deck is saved, which is a good thing, we now actually can get rid of a bunch of cards and decide what to do with it. So these three are crucial because this is the only card that could place -1 counters, and this is the whole reason by building this deck. This definitely will need, because it's a small card that help us to constantly return it from a graveyard. So even if we will discard this card, we can get this card back in our possession. This card is basically have a menace, which is a good thing always for the small cards, and discard a card and sacrifice this one and draw a card. So basically this one allows us do this ability right away and activate this thing. This thing is basically lets us to make every creature that we have and turn it into a Skulk creature, which is always an awesome thing, because again I'm going to have pretty small creatures there, and not every of these creatures have Skulk, and this way I can attack with them simply. And also, whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card if you do discard a card. So this thing is actually helps to activate this ability too, because again I can pay whatever I want and just basically put -1 of creatures after I discard a card, and this thing is makes sure that we are going to work with it. Pay 1, so this is just a basic destroyer, nothing more. So it's pretty interesting destroyer that help us to pay 1 life, put the top card of our library into our graveyard, discard a card and sacrifice it and destroy a creature. Because we don't have necessarily any destroyers and we need some, so this is just a destroyer. Again, pretty cool card with the Skulk. I will think about that though, so because if I have this one, maybe I don't need creature with Skulk, but no, let's keep it because I like the Skulk ability. It actually will help us to along the way, and since this creature has a death touch, which is awesome. Delirium, again, I'm going to have pretty decent amount of cards in my graveyard, so again I already have equipments, or artifacts, equipments, regular artifacts, enchantments, auras, sorceries, creatures. The only thing that I don't have are planeswalkers in here for some reason. Why I don't have planeswalkers here? Enchantments, sorceries, zombies, enchantments, instants, creatures, legendary artifacts. I don't know if it's going to count as a different type of card. And of course I could have land there, which is also a cool thing. So the last thing that I need to find is a black or red planeswalker. So let's just go through our cards and find one. So draw cards, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Target opponent gets an emblem. Whenever a player draws a card, you lose 2 lives. I will add him and then we'll think about it. So let's just go into red ones. I remember I opened New Chandra in previous session, and this New Chandra actually was pretty self-destructing and I didn't like her. But for this deck she could work, because this deck is strange. So let's just find our Chandra. So this one. Yeah, discard all cards. All the cards in your hand, then draw that many cards for 0. So this is actually could help us. Chandra deals X damage to each creature and put 1 on 3 creature token with haste onto the battlefield. Exile them at the beginning of your step. So yeah, definitely Chandra. She definitely will create pretty interesting. She actually work with this deck pretty awesome. I don't know about this one though. It's pretty cool too, because I will have the ability of drawing cards and discarding cards. So this, by having this emblem, is actually good work. But losing lives is never a good thing. So I don't know. I will think about this. So yeah, let's just continue. Again, Vampire allows us to do this. Okay, Sculpt guys 100%. So this one, Delirium. Again, I have decent amount of type of cards in order to work with Delirium. And it's going to have double strike instead, which is a good thing, of course, for the small card. Discard the cards, it gets +2 and -2. Again, pretty cool thing, but let's just make him 2, not 3. Again, putting charge counters, for instance, in sorceries. I have decent amount of these type of cards, so how many instants and sorceries I actually have? So let's count. Is it worth it to keep this card here? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, about 10 sorceries. I don't know if I will get rid of most of them or not, but still it's a pretty cool thing, because again, can you imagine paying all these cards without paying their money cost? They're pretty costly, and by playing in them without it, this is awesome. Target creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. Okay, where we were. So yeah, we were here. So again, discard a card. Yeah, some type of an enhancers. Yeah, will probably be a good thing to have this card here for now. Discard a card, put 1/1 black vampire. Again, creates vampires. Help discards cards. Again, madness. If you discard this card, put it into exile. When you do cast it for its madness cost, or put it into your graveyard. I still don't know how this works, but let's hope I will figure it out along the way. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand, then discard a card. Of course, this is something that will help us to bring cards that we will discard back to us. Destroy target tapped creature and madness, of course, pretty cool. I didn't read what this madness does, so deals 2 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures or players. If madness cost was paid, it deals X damage divided. So I can pay madness whatever I want. If you discard, it's exiled. When you do, pay for its madness. Pretty cool. Actually, pretty cool. For each creature card in your graveyard, again, I have decent amount of creatures, and they all going to be in the graveyard. And this card definitely not going to be something that I will put in my graveyard intentionally, of course. This one makes card a transform, so it just transforms it into 4 and 3, and this creature transforms into demon witch. You may destroy target creature. Potential destroyer, pretty cool. Like its hidden ability, but again, 3 of them is too much. 2 of them is more than enough. Same for these guys. Having 4 of them, I don't know about that. But let's just keep them 4 for now. I will back to him later. We'll think about this. Okay, gets +1/+1 and has madness as long as there's a 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. That's pretty cool. One of those. So whenever it becomes tapped, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. Again, pretty cool in order to make sure that I will discard cards constantly, but again, 3, this is too much. Attacking creatures you control have first strike, which is awesome. Whenever a vampire you control deals combat damage to a player, put 1/1 counter on it, and of course madness. Again, every attacking creature that I have will gain first strike, and if this creature is a vampire, it also puts a counter on it, and I have vampires here, so this is actually pretty cool. How many vampires I have? 1, 2, it's like 4 here. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I can reproduce vampires with this one. And of course, I guess I have vampires there too. So fire will deal 3 damage to target creature or player, and I can pay it for madness cost. If you discard this card, discard it into exile. When you do, cast it for its madness cost or put it into your graveyard. Oh, so yeah, madness works like this. So if I decide to cast this as madness, it's going to be exiled and I'm not going to see it again. If it's going to be a not madness, I'm just going to play regular cost and put it on my graveyard. So now I understand how it works. Then we need to think about this. Put charge counter on it. You may pay convert mana costs equal to the number of charge counters without paying its mana. I will keep it. Who knows? It could work. Okay, we worked on these. Becomes tapped, yes. So yeah, we will end on this one. So target creature loses 3 lives and you gain 3 lives. Madness. Again, pretty cool. Enter the battlefield, put 1/1 spirit creature token with flight onto the battlefield, discard 2 cards, return this card from your graveyard battlefield tapped. I don't know about that. It's kind of cool. It helps me to discard cards. The problem is I have too many cards, too many discarders and not that many of card drawers, so I think this card is out of it. Yeah, it's kind of indestructible, but at the same time I don't know. gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Activate this ability only energy to 4 more cards among them. I don't know about this one. Yeah, it's Delirium. I will think about that. At the beginning of your combats on your turn, target creature you control gains double strike until end of the turn. On your turn. Oh yeah, double strike is awesome. Target creature deals combat damage to itself equal to its power. Damage to itself equals to its power. This is pretty good destroyer. Yeah, but it's not cheap, and this is unfortunate. So that makes it unplayable. Cycling: discard a card, draw a card. These are definitely good cards because the only reason by having these cards is just to discard them basically. So I'm going to keep them here. I actually will leave this here for now. I will think about it. So discard 2 cards, return this from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Again, the same for this card, like discard 2 cards and return it back tapped. This one for 4 and it's 2 and 2, and this one 4 and 4, it's 5 and cost 3. I will keep it, but only one. I don't think that we need more of these. Just come on. Oh, we definitely need to get rid of big cards. I guess I have too much of those. Let's actually put 2 of these here. Actually could help us. Okay, next card with Madness. You discard this card into exile that are assault 3. Yeah, this is actually a pretty good card, and again this is a vampire which could potentially create cool things. Again, this is a cycling, so even though this card is not cheap, we can easily cycle it onto the graveyard, so it's a pretty good thing. This is a Madness, discarding it. That way we could play it pretty cheap. Oh, wait a minute. Cycling, discard this card, draw a card. And for Madness, I actually need to discard a card. So I actually need to have a decent amount of cards that works with the discarding. So I guess I need to put more of these. Because Madness is not going to be activated unless I discard a card. That was the problem. So Madness doesn't work unless something will trigger discarding a card. So let's hope for this card. I will discard this card and use Madness. Discard a card. Yeah, this deck is definitely Stranger Things. Okay, Haste and Madness again. Sacrifice 3 clues. Search your library, which is always a good thing. And clues are basically allow me to draw cards. This is the only reason by placing this card here. Put 3 2 and 2 black zombies, blah blah blah, onto the battlefield tapped, and you gain 3 lives. If you play it as Madness cost, put X of those tokens into the battlefield tapped, and you gain X lives. Again, potential life gainer, pretty awesome life gainer. Again, just a planeswalker in order to create additional cards in the graveyard for Delirium. not necessarily going to play it. Cycling card, another one. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Each of those cards are Black Zombie. Again, the way to bring back cards from a graveyard. Create 2 and 2 Black Zombie creatures. Again, cycling. If not, I'm just going to put a bunch of zombies in there. The only reason I think it's not cheap, so there's no reason to have like 3 of those. 2 is more than enough for this cycling ability. Chandra of course works for this. Discard all cards in your hand, then draw that many cards. It's actually pretty interesting. This deck is definitely need to be big. Less to cast for each instant or sorcery card in your graveyard. Again, I will pretty quickly put in my graveyard a bunch of cards, so I guess it's going to be pretty interesting. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 till end of the turn. The battlefield, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. It's pretty interesting too. Okay, this is an interesting deck. So I definitely need to put more lands in it, like without a doubt. Good thing that there's no limit in cards. So for 90 card deck, 32 lands is enough. But I have more than 90 card deck, so we need to get rid of a couple of cards. I could potentially play this card for 2. That way I will have decent amount of things to discard particular cards and play madness, their madness cost. This one again, just card for cycling. Most of the cards are just going to cycle, so in order to get the best one. So I'm not going to consider these cards as something more than they already is. It's pretty cheap cycling. Only 1. This one too, again, cheap cycling, why not? Of course, if I make this, get rid of these cards, like for instance right away, the only question, I have more dark spells than the red ones, so just make less red ones by reducing them by 12. And let's make this one. Yeah, this is crazy. 100 cards. But again, most of these cards are going to be cycled. So, and I'm definitely not going to discard lands. I'm going to cycle 4 lands. And it's actually going to be pretty quick. I have decent amount of small creatures there, so I can play and defend myself pretty good. And also I have a bunch of cards that I could cycle and work with these abilities. But it's still pretty crazy deck though. But it could work. So yeah, I'm actually really anxious to test this deck. Unfortunately, I'm not going to do this now. But still, this is going to be an awesome thing to play. because come on, this is a strange deck. Crazy strange deck. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So in terms of like things, it's pretty bad. I actually dropped its synergy last. It was like probably 3 stars. Doesn't have any speed, doesn't have any strength, doesn't have anything to it. But again, it's not supposed to be something like too crazy. It's just a deck that helps us work with things. Of course, after a couple of test matches, I guess I will figure out how this deck works better. Okay, let's just go through the last run out in the remaining 5 minutes and see what I could do about it. So maybe I actually can reduce the number of things in this deck to less than 100, because I think it's too much. Yeah, let's just get rid of these scout creatures. Let's make them less. Maybe, no, let's just get rid of all of them. I don't know. I kinda get that they're pretty cool and I like them, but the problem is... or not. No, they're actually pretty good blockers at the beginning, so at least a couple of them I will have. Again, Delirium cards are good because they work best when we're discarding cards constantly. Madness cards works good, life gainers, cards that are almost unkillable. By discarding 2 cards we can bring them onto the battlefield tapped. This is again works with the Delirium. Let's just make one less, only one. Yeah. Target creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. Again, this is just a potential destroyer, and pretty good destroyer that we could definitely use to our advantage. This is just for the cycling in order to put a bunch of instants into my graveyard. Discard 2 cards, return this gold again. 1 is enough. 1 is enough. 4. Again, the only reason why I have 4 of these is because they're cyclable, or they cycle. So if I will get a bunch of these, I would just cycle them. But at the same time, it's kind of stupid. So yeah, let's just get 2 of these, because I still can't play them, they're too big. Same for these ones. 2 is enough. Okay, think. Think. What I need to get rid of. If you do draw a card. This thing is actually pretty awesome. Can't get rid of it because come on. If it attacks, it becomes tapped. Then I'm discarding a card, and if you do, you draw a card, which is an awesome thing. I don't have that much card drawers in my deck. Skull Menace, these cards are all cool. These are cool too because again they can potentially destroy target creature. They're pretty cheap. Only one of those I have. Pretty good potential destroyer too. Again, potential destroyer. I need destroyers, of course, and the only thing that I will like answer. I don't necessarily have. No, I actually have creatures to sacrifice. Discard the cards. Yeah, maybe I need to get rid of this card though. Like, I don't know about this. Or no. No, I'll keep it. Maybe not two of those, but only one. No, they are pretty good blockers at the beginning. This is pretty good defense and offense at the beginning. Having these two makes every creature skulk. Yeah, I guess these two are not working, or at least one of those definitely. Yeah, 92 cards is something that I could work with. Okay, so 92 cards, 30, 34, 28. Most of these cards are basically going to be cycled and discarded, so there's no... And again, the only reason why its deck is that big is because this is the only way to work with this ability and not lose everything. So yeah, now control is pretty good. It actually can get too high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So before there was 13 and now it's just 12. Which is a normal thing for this type of deck. Yeah, Stranger Things. So yeah, on that note I guess, so yeah, again, I built this deck solely for the purpose of working with this achievement, because this is the only way how I can put -1 counters on creatures, because I don't have any cards with these type of abilities, and usually these type of abilities are actually in probably in Amonkhet or Revolt. Embalm. +1. Yeah, for instance in here. In here. So yeah, I don't have these type of abilities yet. So yeah, that's the reason of creating this thing, in order to achieve this ability. And the only creature that I have that works with -1 counters, and of course, is this one. And yeah, it's kind of a bummer, but still I have 3 of those. A good possibility if I actually draw it by constantly discarding cards. Yeah, this is a pretty interesting deck. Definitely interesting. This is definitely non-standard deck. It works it's pretty aggressive. It's pretty hard to predict. It's kind of based on Delirium, which kind of makes it a little bit standard. But at the same time, again, for me, Delirium, it's not standard because I didn't play it before, and I don't necessarily like. I understand how it works, but I don't have an experience in working with the Delirium decks, so that's kind of creates a problem for me. So yeah, cool thing. So basically, we are created, or we make sure that our 2015 Magic 2015 decks are going to be pretty good and pretty strong in order to play decent matches and actually win them or learn from them. And we decided to make one special deck for an achievement in Magic Duels, which now can actually, and this deck is going to definitely be pretty interesting in versus battle. I probably with this deck lose all matches, but we're going to see it in the next sessions. So yeah, on that note, I guess we will end this session. or pre-recorded session. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Have a nice day or night. See you in the next session. Bye bye.